Donahue, your host tonight and moderator for the live aldermanic debate, or actually forum, so that you, the electorate, can become informed about the candidates that are running for Rutland City Board of Aldermen. We have 5 seats open this time around with 7 candidates. Tonight we have 6 here in the forum, and 7th being Bob Perro, Jr., who is on vacation, had it pre-scheduled before the debate was scheduled, so we understand. But you can catch Bob's candidate profile here on PEG TV. But I'm really glad to have the 6 candidates here with us this evening, and I'd like to thank, of course, PEG TV as the presenter, along with the Rutland Herald. We have both Gordon Drustillo in the audience tonight, as well as Jim Sabatasso, city editor, and welcome them, and thank you for being here with us this evening. Thank you for helping to sponsor and present this forum to the public as we give the voters more information about the candidates who want to serve them for the next 2 years on the Rutland City Board of Aldermen. So I did want to take 1 second to mention the 2 candidates that will be stepping off the Board of Aldermen. They're on currently and will be serving just past the election, and that's both Cheryl Hooker and Larry Coopely. And I want to thank both of those 2 individuals for, the long time and notable service to the community, not only on the Board of Aldermen, but as state senator, state representative, and then city aldermen. They've certainly given a lot of their time, and we thank both Cheryl and Larry for their community service tonight. So moving right along, what we're going to do is we're going to actually start with a 2-minute opener for remarks so the candidates can talk to you directly for a minute before we get into questions, and 2 minutes actually before we get into questions. And we're going to just start this off right to left, my right to left, which begins with current Alderman Sharon Davis. Welcome, Sharon.
Thank you. So good evening. I'm Sharon Davis, and I'm running for re-election to the Rutland City Board of Aldermen. I was born and raised in the city of Rutland and attended Christ the King and Mount St. Joseph Academy. This is a position that I have held for the last 34 years due to your support. I am currently the chair of the Finance Committee and the Public Safety Committee. I believe I bring a check and balance to the board, asking the needed and necessary questions. I am concerned about the growing tax rate, the effects that it's having on our residents and our business community. I also am concerned about transportation issues and changes that will be occurring to Woodstock Avenue and Route 7. Our housing issues and the crime that is facing the city and its residents due to our homeless problems within the area. These are just a few of the issues that I have been involved with and keep on top with. I encourage you to please get out and vote on Tuesday, March 5th, and I would appreciate any continued support. Thank you.
Thank you, Sharon Davis. Eddie Grove.
Hi, my name is Eddie Grove. This is my first time ever running for a political office, so this is all still pretty new to me. Hopefully I don't ramble too much or come across a little crazy, but I'm a professional artist and illustrator. I do a lot of work in the craft beer industry. I've done about 400 plus beer labels at this point, so that's mostly what I do by day. I'm a avid mountain biker. I actually moved to Rutland with my wife last year. She was offered a job in town, and I knew how good the trail networks were and a lot of the recreational just amenities that Rutland had, so we came here and fell in love with the city and were welcomed into the community very quickly and made a ton of friends here that I couldn't have done back where we came from, which was the very, very overdeveloped Central Maryland. And there's a lot of things that we like about Vermont. There's a lot of things we like about Rutland that we couldn't do back home, and want to be part of what helps protect and continue to grow the community. So hopefully the ideas that I have are good at that, and I look forward to potentially joining the board and being a positive change for the community.
Eddie Grove, thank you. Henry Heck.
Mr. Donahue, thank you.
Welcome.
My name is Henry Heck. I've been a lifelong resident here in Vermont, in Rutland mainly. I've been married to my wife, Kim, for 37 years. We have 2 children that have grown up in Rutland school systems and have now moved off into their separate ways. prior to, being an alderman, back in 2007, I was on the Board of Aldermen for 3 years. I was then given the opportunity to be the city clerk for the city of Rutland, which I had done for the last 14 and a half years. People have reached out to me with concerns, still at this point, sharing some experiences that they've had within the city. And I just thought that it was a good time for me maybe to readdress and look at getting back onto the board to see if I could help, with some of the numerous projects that are hitting the city at this point in time. The amount of knowledge that I can bring as the prior city clerk, I think is exceptional, just in the sense of the board is delegated to hold tax appeals, tax abatements. I think there's a wealth of information that I may be able to share with my fellow colleagues. The board is slightly newer in a sense, other than Alderwoman Davis, who's been on the board for 34 years. So just the vast experience that I have gathered over the last 17 years, I think would be a tremendous attribute to the community and to the citizens. And I just look forward to sharing some of that if I am fortunate enough to be able to serve as an alderperson again. So I would also ask the voters to please participate. And on Tuesday, March 5th, get out and vote if you haven't already done so, or to at least request an absentee ballot, and do your due diligence there and pass that information back in where it can be counted. I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.
Henry Heck, thank you. Anna Taddeo.
Thank you, PEG TV, and thank you, Tom, for hosting this forum. My name is Anna Taddeo, and I'm currently serving on the Rutland City Board of Aldermen. I was born and raised here in Rutland City. I'm a proud graduate of Rutland High School and the University of Vermont. I'm currently practicing as an attorney in Rutland City, and I'm a ski patroller at Killington Resort on the weekends. As chair of the Community and Economic Development Committee, this past year I have worked to help secure grants to our city, which have helped to reduce our tax increases. As chair of the Environmental Sustainability Committee, I have championed environmental initiatives, including an evaluation of our citywide buildings to look for ways that we can save on energy costs. I am also chair of the Human Resources Committee and the General Committee. Public safety has been a top priority this past year, and I have worked to support our police department and fire department by including working to support raises for our police force, which will ensure that we continue to retain their services and attract more qualified staff. I love Rutland, and I am dedicated to working to ensure that everyone feels welcome and safe in this city. I hope you will get out and vote on March 5th. Again, my name is Anna Taddeo, and I'm currently serving on the Rutland City Board of Aldermen and would be honored to continue serving. Thank you.
Thank you, Anna Taddeo. Michael Talbot.
Thank you. My name is Michael Talbot. I've served 2 terms on the Board of Aldermen. I've spent the last year serving as the board president. I'm also a professor of communication at Vermont State University, Castleton, and I serve as the chair of the Arts, Humanities, and Communications Department at Vermont State University. I'm a union officer in our teachers union, and I moved to Rutland around 10 years ago. In my free time, I've poured my energy into fixing up a couple rental properties near downtown Rutland. Everyone up here running for office, I think, would attest to my hard work and dedication to the roles that I take on. And I try to be a model in terms of my work ethic to the young people that I teach. I've tried to model professionalism and kindness when I've been on the board and in my leadership position as board president. My number one priority for Rutland is housing. Housing is the cause of and solution to so many of the challenges that we face. We need to expand our housing opportunities to grow the number of residents that we have, and growth is our only path to affordability, which is something that we all hear a lot about. Rutland's offered me the best quality of life anywhere I've had in the United States, and I've lived a number of places. There's a great sense of community here, and Rutland is the place that I've made my forever home. I'm committed to helping Rutland realize its full potential, and I hope that you'll get out and vote on March 5th. Thank you.
Michael Talbot, thank you. Matt Wickham.
Thank you, Tom. And Tom, as always, thank you for moderating. I missed you. I wasn't here
Well,
last
welcome
time.
back.
Thank you to PEG TV. I appreciate you guys putting this on for the community. It's such a great service. And then thank you to everyone at home who's tuned in to watch tonight. You could be anywhere in the world doing anything you want, but you're here with us, and I really appreciate that. So many of you may know me from my former stint on the Board of Aldermen. For those of you who don't, my name is Matt Wickham. I served on the board for 5 years, 2 of which I served as president. Professionally, I'm a senior healthcare administrator in the Dartmouth Health Network. In particular, I oversee the medical group for New London Hospital. So why am I excited to come back and rejoin the board? Really, it's everything. But, knowing that there's a time constraint here, I'm just going to give you 3 things that I'm really excited about. First and foremost, I just love the nuts and bolts of politics and really how you can utilize that to really build a strong foundation in municipality and bring it forward. So one of the first things I'm looking to do is dive back into the local option tax and the capital improvement fund. This is work that I championed along with my colleagues on the board and the administration at the time to put forth in front of the voters, which you overwhelmingly voted in favor of. Now that we have that in place, it is essential that we use this local option tax, the revenue that we receive from that, to put into a capital improvement fund that addresses the very clear needs that we have in the community. And if we do this well, we have a real opportunity here to not only stabilize the tax rate, but hey, knock on wood, maybe even reduce it going forward. I'm really excited to be back in and working on that. Additionally, the police department. We have such a great group of committed officers who care so deeply about this city. But they've made it very clear. They need our support. They need our help. We have to figure out ways to recruit and retain officers. I can't wait to dive back in and really, again, work with my colleagues on the board, work with the administration, work with the police officers themselves to understand what is it that we really need to do to rebuild this department and create something that works for everybody. And finally, I'm excited to take the opioid money that we've received from the state and to really develop a concise plan as to how do we use this and distribute it in a way that really serves those most in need. And like I said, I promised you 3 things. I'll stop there, but thank you. You're going to be in for a great night hearing from everyone up here.
All right. Thank you very much, Matt Wickham. And I've gone ahead and drawn the first name. We're each going to have an opportunity for each candidate to start a series of questions. And the first one is Michael Talbot. And then we'll continue to your left and go right around the room. So the very first question is, in your opinion, what is the one biggest challenge facing the city today?
In my opinion, the biggest challenge facing the city today is housing. I hear it over and over and over again that we have a housing emergency in Rutland. There are not places for people to live who want to move here. There are not places for young people who want to stay here. There are not affordable places to live, and it's all different types of housing: low-income housing, market rate housing, luxury housing. We have an absence of all of it. And one of the reasons why is that it's expensive to build housing here. So in the time that I've been on the board, I've put a ton of work into trying to develop a viable TIF district for Rutland. That could be a key to making housing developments a possibility here, right? Because developers look at Rutland and they say, how can I make the numbers work? If we're able to create a TIF district, we could sort of close that financial gap to make it worthwhile to invest in housing here. I also prioritize creating resources for multifamily property owners to renovate those. Since my very first day on the board, I've pushed for the city to create a revolving loan fund so that property owners can borrow money at a low interest rate. We were able to create that fund using ARPA funds, seeded it with $400,000. I worked with NeighborWorks of Western Vermont for over a year to develop the program, and the board approved it and launched it in collaboration with the Rutland Redevelopment Authority, and we're poised to give our first loan, hopefully in the next month or two, to a property owner who wants to take an offline unit, renovate it, and bring it online, and is able to borrow money from that program at a 1% interest rate. And because it's a revolving loan fund, as that property owner pays it back, that fund will replenish itself. The city has also worked with a great number of partners to apply for VCDP, Vermont Community Development Program grants, such as Hospital Heights, the Maple Street Project, and potentially the Housing Trust's East Creek Commons Project, which create all different types of new housing. Again, housing is the key to growth, and growth is the key to affordability in Rutland. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Michael. And Matt Wickham.
Thank you, Tom. So I like to think about this in a slightly different way. I don't know that I could name just one specific issue that's impacting Rutland, but I have given thought to what is the theme of what impacts our community. And I use two words interchangeably. It's predictability and stability. If we're going to attract people here, if we're going to build a strong Rutland, we have to ensure that the actions that we take, the city that we build, is predictable and it's stable. As alluded to by Board President Talbot, housing is critical, and for people to come here and to invest, they have to know what to expect. They have to know that regardless of what changes occur in the administration and members of the board, the things are going to have a certain level of consistency as they move forward. I've already mentioned it tonight, the tax rate. It's really important that people who move here understand that we are committed to controlling tax increases and hopefully stabilizing the rate altogether. It's incredibly difficult for people on fixed incomes to absorb 7, 8, 9, up to 10% tax increases year over year. This is why we have to really work to understand what are our needs, how do we use the money we generate from the local option tax, and how do we invest wisely and, again, make it stable and predictable going forward. The police department. I can't point to anything else I can think of that more ensures stability in a community. We've had struggles for many years now, but I would say that we're in a kind of a crisis inflection point. We have less officers than we've had in quite some time, and it is difficult to attract and to retain these individuals. We have to really think differently about what we do and how we approach this. And then finally, I'll go back to housing. We are in desperate need of affordable housing, market rate housing, and we just have that in short supply right now. We need to be looking for who do we partner with, how do we take the assets that we have and convert that into something that works for people, one, who are already here, and two, who want to come here. And I'll stop with that.
Thank you, Matt. Sharon Davis, and what is
So-
the one biggest challenge facing the city?
So I will agree that it's housing, and I will agree that we need to work collaboratively with partners. And last night at our meeting, there were a couple of grants that were proposed that would be dealing with the town of West Rutland and the town of Castleton. And I think we have to look outside our borders, because it's not just Rutland City that's experiencing housing issues, it's our community as a whole, it's the county as a whole. And if the county is healthy and survives, the city is healthy and survives. So I think we have to look at the existing stock that we have, and the RRA does a great job looking at our housing needs. We have to look at creating new stock. Michael Talbot spoke about the revolving loan fund that we have, and I encourage folks who are landlords to take advantage of that, to help bring your unit up to code. And we want to look at affordable units as well. We want to, whether they're for seniors or young folks just moving to the community or just getting a start. We need market rate housing as well. But I think we need to work with Neighborhood Works, the Rutland Housing Authority. We need to bring the partners in. The city responsibility is to understand what the housing market is for the city, to make sure the infrastructure is in place for the city, to make sure that we provide a community that folks want to come to, that it's our crime rate is low, et cetera, and then let the entities that are charged with developing housing develop housing.
Thank you, Sharon. Eddie Grove.
So I also would say that housing availability and accessibility is a big issue that needs to be addressed. And I can say, as somebody who moved here recently, the availability in housing and the affordability in housing is very different than where I moved from, but it's a very different market, and the problems that are here are the same elsewhere to a different degree, where it was very hard to find housing where we were, and it was still pretty difficult and very cutthroat to get here, where if we didn't put an offer in immediately, somebody else would. And that's a huge problem, because not only as, we could afford to move here when we did, but the rates were super high. I mean, it's hard making the payments all the time, and not everybody is in the same financial situation, and there needs to be more done to bring prices down. Some of that is more units, but also there's a lot of what I heard and what I saw back home is the same as what I see and hear here. The majority of Vermonters that I talk to talk about short-term rentals, second vacation homes, out of town, out of state vacationers buying up all the available housing, renting it out for short-term or just holding it, not paying all the same taxes and not, providing the same benefit to the town that residents do. People who are actually invested in the community, make it a point to get to know their neighbors. As soon as that's gone, that doesn't come back. And it's very hard to replace that when it's not easy to build new houses. So addressing that, maybe limiting the amount of that is a nationwide issue. And not just that, but private equity firms buying up all the housing. These are things that are coming this way. If it's not in Rutland now, people are buying up the houses in Mendon and Killington. The people who want to follow suit are going to move down this way, and we need to have protections in place to keep housing available for the people who actually want to live here.
Thank you, Eddie. Henry Heck.
Can you repeat the question one more time?
Absolutely, yes. In your opinion, what is the one biggest challenge facing the city today?
Well, as everyone has noted, the so-called housing crisis, public safety issues, and I'm just going to go back to my old job. It was always kind of surprising to me that the turnout that we would get with the electoral, people voting on various things. There are things that will be on the ballot, this year in regards to charter changes and stuff and that effect. So the number one thing that, as a city clerk, when you sit back and you look at that is, why didn't people come out to the polls and trying to dissect that with so many issues, housing issues, financial issues, safety issues, homelessness, whatever it might be. There is a wealth of things going on within our community. And I'm just trying to understand, Rutland has always been a so-called reactive and not proactive in regards to certain things. And I would like to see us kind of take a stance, but I would really like to just, challenge the electoral to come out and support whatever it is that they want to support. If they want to support the budget, that's great. If they don't want to support a budget, that's great as well, too. But not knowing has always been an issue for me in trying to figure that out. On a national level, we have an 80% turnout. But on a local level, it just seems it's awful difficult to get those folks out and stuff. And I'm just going to take a different stance. If it's information, I would like to know. And, anybody that wants to reach out and, say to me, this is the reason why, I like to be able to work on those things. If it's, bringing people together, it's uniting people, if it's getting them more information so they have, are able to make a better decision, then I think that's what we should be able to do as a board, is to really pass that information along. So that's my response to that.
Thank you, Henry.
You're welcome.
Anna Taddeo.
It's really difficult to choose what the single most pressing issue is. I think that there are three very pressing issues, one being the cost of living going up and minimum wages not increasing commensurate with the cost of living. Additionally, housing, lack of access to affordable housing, whether you're a renter or a homeowner. And then third, I think public safety. And I'm going to talk about that because I think that what my constituents and the voters are concerned about is public safety. And this past year, I have been listening to our police and fire departments closely, listening to what their needs are, and then trying to meet those needs. I've advocated for transparency in negotiations and communications with the police department. As a ski patroller at Killington Resort, I intimately understand how important it is to have a fully staffed emergency response team. And when you're down one member, it really can make a difference in a split second and in a quick moment where it is life or death. So it's really important to me to continue to support public safety and public safety measures in our community. In terms of housing, there's a couple things. This past term, I referred to charter and ordinance, to charter and an ordinance, a short-term rental ordinance, so that we can start cataloging some of the properties that are being used as Airbnbs, so that we will have more information about our city and how the properties are being used, so that we can sort of start to make some changes and encourage more long-term housing opportunities for people that desperately, desperately need it. Thank you.
Thank you, Anna. Well, we're just going in order here. The next question will go to Matt Wickham. And that is as follows. Economic development and expansion of the grand list has been slow in Rutland City. As an alderman, what would you propose to spur investment and economic growth?
Yeah, I've given this a lot of consideration. I do want to reiterate the first point. One of the things I think will spur economic growth is stabilizing taxes. So looking at how do we use the revenue that we generate from the local option tax, invest that into a capital improvement fund, and attribute it to the projects that are most pressing within the community. I think that's critical. I also know that there's been an enormous amount of work done with the TIF district. This is something that we really need to see the rubber meet the road on as soon as possible. This incentivizes outside investment to come in and local investment to invest in a specific area and hopefully build that up and benefit everybody. I also think one of the things we need to do to really look at how do we grow Rutland City is to really understand how do we interact with our neighboring communities. I would offer that we've spent many years now trying really hard to work in association with Killington. We even had the Killington Valley Initiative. On the surface, it made an enormous amount of sense, but Killington is concerned about Killington. They have a good thing, and they want to keep their money local in their community. I actually think that it's time that Rutland looks in the other direction on the Route 4 corridor and really understands how can we partner with West Rutland, with Castleton, with Fairhaven. What do we need to do in conjunction with our neighbors to help them, which ultimately will help us? I think that is going to be absolutely critical as we go forward. I think additionally, one thing that's been successful but may need to be revised is we did a pretty excellent job through the Rutland Redevelopment Authority of issuing grants, forgivable loans, and recommendations to Heritage Family Credit Union. I think we're at a point where we want to do an analysis of what was most effective. It would appear that grants tended not to yield the results that we wanted, but forgivable loans tended to render businesses that were far more successful. Maybe we need to go back and look at, do we increase the amount we give in a forgivable loan and eliminate grants altogether? Those are just some of the options that we need to consider going forward to really build Rutland economically.
Thank you, Matt. Sharon Davis.
Thank you. So grand list is always a tough nut to crack, so to speak. Our grand list currently is a little over $10 million. And I think we always think that grand list growth is tied to business, but it's not. It's also tied to residential properties. In the city of the Rutland, we're just the opposite of what happens in the town. The town is all business, and the low tax rate ends up on the residential property, where we're flipped. Our high tax rate ends up on our residential property. So I think we need to continue to strengthen our neighborhoods. We need to encourage some redevelopment of neighborhoods as well. Neighborhood Works has done a tremendous job in certain sections of the city to rehab neighborhoods, houses that are kind of dilapidated, and it seems to have just had this spring effect to have the next door neighbors say, well, geez, look at the house now, so I'm going to paint mine. Those all affect the grand list. Business, absolutely. We're not going to get big businesses in like a GE, those type of things. We're going to get micro businesses in. We have a perfect opportunity to fill the hub. The hub downtown is a great place to be. It's a spectacular. I encourage people to, if you're not been there, to take a walk through. And I think, these are the type of businesses that'll help. Does it build infrastructure? No, but it adds personal property to the grand list, and that does raise our grand list. So I think there's a lot of opportunities between small business and protection of those neighborhoods.
Thank you, Sharon. Eddie Grove.
Could you repeat the question?
Absolutely. Economic development and expansion of the grand list has been slow in Rutland City. And as an alderman, what would you propose to spur investment and economic growth?
Gotcha. Yeah, so this is one of those areas where, as somebody who's new to the process, I'm still learning a lot of what can be done, what sort of things the board is sort of capable of doing exactly, and I'm not entirely familiar with the grand list itself, or some of these more intricate terminologies. It's just someone that's still new to this, but as far as actually spurring growth and encouraging business, there's a lot of empty storefronts downtown. I just seeing what could be done, thinking how can we improve the community, how can we encourage growth. There's just so much like that we're looking for that could be downtown. If it was easier to get around, I would love to encourage better infrastructure, improvements to the sidewalks, intersections and things that make it more accessible, because if people are out and about, they're going to spend money, they're going to do these things, they're going to support the businesses that are down there that can be here. If there's grants that we can provide, if the forgivable loans is another great point that, I've heard that that's available, and that's definitely something I want to look into more, and like how to help businesses apply for that or receive those, because that would be huge. If I was going to start a business downtown, knowing that there was a loan that I could apply for, put it towards operating costs, and have it forgiven by the city, that would be a huge help in getting started. And I know that a lot of people would like to participate in things like that. So just encouraging small businesses over another Starbucks opening, on South Main Street and those sort of things, I think would just help in a huge way.
Thank you, Eddie. Henry Heck.
So the more likely way the grand list gets increased is through probably taxation. Reappraisal's going to be coming. No one's property values are going to go down, I can assure you that, as far as that goes. As a community, we should look at our neighbors and hope that Killington grows to be the biggest ski resort in the entire world, and take a piece of what may come through us, local businesses coming downtown, as far as that goes. But at the end of the day, I know Sharon's heard this probably 100 times way back in the day, the opportunity for the city to grow is not there. If you think of a donut, we're the hole in the middle of the donut. Rutland Town is the donut itself. Look at maybe at some point in time, the merger between the town and the city may have the best economic values for both communities. It was an item that was talked about and kind of shunned and thrown aside. But I think if you really looked into what may happen if the town and the city got together as an economic driver, or as public safety, joining the police forces, and if nothing else, the city does have one commodity that the town needs and other people need, and it's not that we want to hold anyone hostage, but we have water and we have sewer. We have one of the best water treatment plants and sewage treatment plants in the entire state. And to utilize those kind of things, those are resources that city taxpayers pay for. And we do sell off some of those entities to businesses or to the town, and we should, because that does help spur their economic growth. So I think if we can kind of look at this together, it may make sense at some point in time for the town and the city to look at a merger.
Thank you, Henry. Anna Taddeo.
So to some extent, this is out of our control, where the reappraisal is coming and will be complete in the next 10 years. So that will definitely change the configuration of our grand list. In the meantime, we can continue to invest in city residents' properties and businesses that are here, and continue supporting businesses and people that want to come here. So in order to bring people here, we need to focus on bringing more housing online. So whether that's rehabilitating existing housing or adding and building new housing. We do have the rental rehab program that is available for folks to take a loan and then slowly pay that back, but to help bring properties that are currently not available for rental, but online, so that folks can rent those out. And that, again, can help grow our grand list. As chair of Community and Economic Development, I've been working on securing grants that can help support the opening of new businesses downtown. So through the board, we have administered a variety of grants that have supported the openings of new restaurants and local shops on Center Street. And I'm excited to continue doing this sort of work if reelected to the board. Thank you.
Thank you, Anna. Michael Talbot.
Yeah, so I'll take this opportunity to talk about a TIF district again. I think a TIF district, or a tax increment financing district, is going to be the magic bullet for economic development in Rutland. So, I've met with a number of investors and looked at different sites in the city, probably sites that everybody here watching knows and recognizes that seem prime for development because of their location, but nothing seems to happen there. Nothing's happened there for a long time. And the reason why is that it's not cost effective for a developer. So what a tax increment financing district would do would allow the city to make infrastructure improvements to those sites at no cost or with no increase to the tax rate. So for example, if there were a site that had contaminated soil, right, like called brownfields that needed to be addressed, the city could bond for the cost of addressing that site, fixing the soil, sidewalk, wastewater, other infrastructure improvements around the site, and prime it for redevelopment by a private developer, and then the increment on the increased appraisal of that property in the future would cover those costs, so it wouldn't result in an increase in the tax rate. I've been working really hard over the past couple of years with a coalition of people from the Rutland Redevelopment Authority, from the Chamber and Economic Development of the Rutland region, with the mayor's office, with fellow aldermen, with city department heads, and a TIF working group to make this a reality for Rutland. It's been transformative in other cities like St. Albans. And a challenge we're facing right now is that there's proposed legislation in Montpelier that would make it much more difficult to get a TIF district here in Rutland. So at a recent Cedar legislative breakfast, Alderman Gillum and I were there letting our legislators know about this potential challenge and asking them to address the language in this proposed bill so that we can get a TIF district, because I think that it can be transformative, right? These sites that have gone unaddressed for years and years and years could suddenly be a place for something new.
Thank you, Michael Talbot. And we're going to draw the next name, and I almost could have predicted it. Anna Taddeo. Okay, so the question goes to you, and we'll keep going around this way, apparently. Drug use and crime continue to be a growing concern in Rutland. As alderman, how will you help the city address this issue?
Well, I guess I'm really going to be hammering this issue home tonight, but I do think that public safety is a big issue facing our community right now, and it's sad that a city that I grew up in, I'm 33 years old right now, and a city that I grew up in that I used to wander around safely all the time, no longer feels as safe to my sister, brother, and I as it did growing up. And I do support efforts to help people that are experiencing, substance abuse disorders to get the help that they need. In the meantime, in order to keep our community safe, I have supported our police department. Right now, the police department salaries are not commensurate with surrounding communities with safer and less strenuous schedules. So I have supported our police to have a raise that would be commensurate with their, it would bring up not only their cost of living, but also make their salaries competitive with other departments. We don't want to see our Rutland City Police Department officers leaving for other departments, like Rutland Town, for example. So I think retaining officers here in our city is incredibly important. I also think increasing our officers, our sworn officers, and getting more people into the academy is additionally important. And I think that our officers have seen me advocate for transparency in these conversations along the way. And I've been very supportive of our police union. Again, I think that, some of the issues facing the folks experiencing homelessness, those are larger issues, and we do need our help from our legislators in Montpelier to be addressing some of these issues. But what we here in Rutland City and on the Board of Aldermen can do is support our police force. Thank you.
Thank you, Anna. Michael Talbot.
Yeah. So I live on the first block of Church Street near downtown. We frequently have people try to get into our cars at night. We've had people try to enter our home in the middle of the night, and I and my family have felt unsafe at times, and that's not okay. I'm not immune to these experiences that many people in our city have. I know that the Rutland City Police Department and all of our officers work incredibly hard to try and make our community safe, but it's not something they can do on their own. In my capacity as an alderman and a member of the Board of Finance, I voted to support them and give them the resources that they need. In the last contract negotiations, I was supportive of expanded overtime pay, and I've supported Chief Kilcullen's efforts to recruit new officers. In my capacity as board president, I attend every police commission meeting so that I can, as best as I'm able as an elected official, to understand the challenges that they face when doing their job. Data shows that the majority of these crimes are committed by a small number of people, and one of the challenges is that when our officers intervene and apprehend these people, they end up back on the street again. So we've looked at, all elected officials in Rutland have been speaking to legislators in Montpelier about changes to the law that could help address this problem. We've had an understaffed judiciary and state's attorney's office in Rutland, but that's changing. There are new judges and new state's attorney staff in Rutland very recently. The crime problems themselves are symptomatic of larger societal problems that can't be addressed simply with police officers or a city council. They're going to take a coalition of resources to address. But I think it's something that we continue to need to make a priority here in Rutland.
Thank you, Michael. Matt Wickham.
Thank you. So I'm going to take this question in two ways. I'll start first with the drug use component that's affecting our community. So, outside of the city government role, I am a board member for Recovery House, and I can assure you that there is an enormous amount of effort that's going into how do we get the resources here that we need to get people into the right treatment at the right time at the right place. Stepping into the city government role, though, we have to be aware of what we realistically can and cannot do. I actually think we have an incredible opportunity in front of us with the money that we're receiving from the opioid settlement to bring the right actors to the table and to get them talking. And through that, determine how can we take this money and then distribute it in a meaningful way. I believe it's about $150,000, which sounds like a lot, but it's really not. So we really, really have to do our due diligence with the actors that we already have in our community who are already dedicated to doing the work that's necessary to really address the drug use problem. I'm in complete agreement with the previous alderman who spoke on this. To address crime, we really, really have to invest in the police force. Now, it's not for lack of trying. Since I've been, an alderman and observed this, we've worked hard to pay a competitive rate, work on retention bonuses, sign-on bonuses, you name it. We're trying to do all the things that we can. I would propose that we might need to be even more foundational with how we work with our police department. Something that I do in my professional role twice a year is I go with my managers and I meet with their direct reports and I ask them three simple questions. What's working? What are the opportunities for improvement? And what do you love about your job? The reason I ask this is, one, I want to know what's working well because I want to replicate more of that. Two, I want to know what the opportunities are because we're going to find some themes there, and we need to focus like a laser on that to improve that. And then three, what do you love about your job? This is how we know we have the right people. They can cite anything, but as long as they're saying that they love their job, we know that they're here, we know that they're committed, and we need to invest and engage them. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Sharon Davis.
So I'll agree. I won't repeat some of the things that have already been said. I am the public safety chair. I have met on several occasions with Chief Kilcullen and then Sean Sargent, who was chair of the police commission, to see what avenues the board can do. Paying salaries to the police department is one thing. We also need to market the police department. And we need to determine if we're not getting the hits that we need to get for police officers to locate here or join, why aren't we? What is the issues? And can we address those? But I think one of the simple things that we as a member of the Board of Aldermen can do is to work with Project Vision to refocus what Project Vision was initially set up to do. And it was initially set up to be in quadrants of the city where there were 4 sergeants assigned and there were police officers that were permanently assigned to quadrants in the city. So they got to know what was normal within the neighborhoods, and the neighborhoods got to know what was normal with these police officers. They established a relationship within the neighborhoods. People felt comfortable to say, Sergeant Joe, I'm going to be out of town for a week. Could you just, as you go by my house, can you keep an eye on things? And it deterred the crime, and it worked. Currently, do we have the staff staffing to do that. But I think the answer is no, we don't. But hopefully we will. And I encourage the Project Vision, and I know they're moving in that direction, to refocus that their goals for Project Vision, not to just be that kind of clearinghouse action for the not-for-profits and other entities, but to really get back into those neighborhoods. And it made a huge difference, and I think it will again.
Thank you, Sharon. Eddie Grove.
Well, just a little joke I like to tell people when they asked why we moved to Rutland. I tell them I'm from outside Baltimore, Maryland, and I can tell you the crime here is not quite what it was where I came from. I've been held at gunpoint and locked in a restaurant refrigerator before, so it could be worse. But that aside, I think we do have a great police force here. I wouldn't have felt nearly as comfortable calling the police back home as I do here. I've attended a number of Project Vision meetings and gotten to know some of the officers and just the way things work, and it just seems like a really great group of people that deserve to get paid more competitively with other, jurisdictions. And just supporting that in any way that, it comes up as an alderman, I would definitely be in favor of. But also, in addition to that, I think addressing the kind of root causes, why do people commit the crimes, why is there desperation that leads to this sort of things, is, it goes back to housing, it goes back to job accessibility, and if we address those issues, people aren't rooting through your car at night because it's fun, they're doing it because they're in a desperate situation. If they can't afford housing, if they can't afford to get to work, not everybody can afford a car. So even just all the other issues and things that I would like to prioritize, want to focus on fixing our intersections and making it easier for people to walk and get around by bike. Not everybody can afford all the costs that come along with having a car. And it's just providing ways for the community to get around, to live and to work, in addition to supporting the police. I think it's all part of the same sort of approach. It can all lead to the same outcome we're looking for.
Thank you, Eddie. Henry Heck.
Could you repeat the question for me?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah. Drug use and crime continue to be a growing concern in Rutland. As Alderman, how will you help the city address this issue?
Well, addressing it is there's no easy solution to that. Everyone will have their own ideal in regards to how addiction should be treated, helped, not helped, as far as that goes. Same thing with crime and stuff. I mean, as far as the addiction goes, my younger brother was an addict. I grew up with living with an addict, so firsthand I know what it's like. People want to be helped, they will look for help. People that don't want to be helped, there's not much we can do. And I don't think that we should force people to seek help, or, when someone's overdosed and to give them Narcan so they can get up and walk away and continue to do it over and over again. It does impede the resources that we have out there for other people that may be sick, that really do need the help and stuff. So addiction is a problem that's not going to go away anytime soon, and there is no real, great answer for that. As far as crime goes, I think just as a community, we really need to look out for our elderly people that are maybe more susceptible to crime, people that look for those kind of people to act upon them. I think there's some things going on within the city, different kind of patrols out there that are trying to make a difference to make their neighborhoods a little bit safer. Because at this point in time, with the police department, based upon how they're staffed, they are overworked and they are overburdened as far as that goes. And I'm not sure if just paying more money on top of more money is going to resolve that issue. I think everyone should make a livable wage, and I think they deserve to have that as well too. But crime is a big issue.
Thank you, Henry. I know we're starting over here this time. We've narrowed it down to that. And for the next question, I was sure it was going to be you, Henry. Eddie Grove. So the next question is kind of a fun one, I think. Describe briefly what you are most happy about the city, and also what you are most unhappy about. happiest and unhappiest about Rutland City?
Well, I can say the community probably is what I'm the happiest with. I lived in Annapolis for 5-6 years in Maryland and got to know maybe 2 of our neighbors. Nobody really cared. Nobody wanted to get to know each other. You know, everybody kind of had their head down, got stuck in traffic and went home, and that's how everybody lived. And as soon as we got here, we immediately started making friends. We started getting involved in the community, started going to, just cedar mixers, project vision meetings, zoning commission meetings, and just finding out what's going on here, and was welcomed into all of that. Everybody's happy to see the interest and the involvement, and it feels like this is the kind of town where if you want to be part of it, you can. Everybody's generally welcoming. I mean, I have yet to have a bad experience with anybody I've met, even people I disagree with. It's just such a welcoming community, and that's hard to find nowadays. So I think that's really what's great about this place. What could be better? As somebody who loves to ride my bike, more bike lanes. I think that would be great, but that's more infrastructure things, and I know not everybody wants to hear about bikes all the time, so fixing intersections, all that sort of stuff. I think the sidewalks could be better. I think we could lower the speed limits in some of the neighborhoods. I almost got run over yesterday crossing a crosswalk at Bellevue and Temple with my dog because somebody just sped right through the intersection. So that's definitely a thing I don't love, is not feeling safe being able to walk through the street because there's no sidewalk. But at the end of the day, I know when I go home, there's tons of people around that care. So that's always great.
Thank you, Eddie. Henry Heck.
So, as city clerk, I used to be involved with a lot of people that used to come into town and stuff, and people always complimented our downtown, how beautiful downtown was, Christmas time with all the lights on and stuff. The downtown has a lot going for it as far as those things go. In the community as a whole, I remember after Noreen, the federal government people coming in and just saying that, your community is the darndest thing I've ever seen. He says, we've been to different states before after hurricanes, and people are sitting on the rooftops crying for help. He says, you people are sawing off your rooftops, floating down the river, helping your neighbors. So, as a community, when things happen, it's a very strong community, and Rutland is always showing up when it's needed to do so, and that's something I've always been proud of. I guess the bad thing, if I had to say, was just that, for young individuals, people trying to, start families, it's not an easy community to, grow up in, because there's not a lot here. Not a lot for the kids. My kids have grown and moved out. Probably would never come back again. How do we keep our youth, which is one of the potential economic drivers that we have? They're here, they're going to buy a house, they're going to buy a car, they're going to buy groceries. So, growing the population and stuff is important, but having a little bit more of a vibrant downtown, some community things for them to paramount is a great asset that we have. But it'd be nice to have, more of a local, maybe a nightlife scene for people just to go out and, do some things. But I think just to try and present a better nightlife or environment for our youth would be something I'd like to see.
Thank you, Henry. Anna Taddeo.
Yeah, a lot of things make me happy about living in our community. I am one of the Vermonters that did leave. I moved to Portland, Oregon to go to law school for 4 years and then came home to Vermont. And I love Vermont and specifically chose Rutland because of its close proximity to Killington. Other places you have to commute a few hours to get to your ski mountain. And so we are very fortunate here in Rutland that it's 5 minutes to the grocery store and library and only 20 minutes to the mountain. I love that we live in an engaged community. There are a lot of people here that really want to work to make the community a better place, whatever their vision of that may be. And I love that we have a lot of events like Friday Night Live, for example, or we now have had 2 annual Whoopie Pie festivals. So different events that are bringing people together. I think Rutland does a really good job. I love our farmers market. It does make me unhappy to see so many people in our community experiencing homelessness and the rising increase in crime because of that. And I am excited, if reelected, to work with our mayor on a temporary housing project that would bring online many units to help people for just 1 year to get back on their feet and to start becoming contributing members of society. Many people would like to be able to be working, and so this is a project aimed at getting people housed and get them employment. So, but ending on a positive, I do think that we are very fortunate to live in a community with such great access to the outdoors and such a vibrant downtown. I think even just since COVID, we've seen a huge soar in the number of businesses opening downtown, and I think that speaks to the number of people that want to move here and live their lives here. So, yeah, I love Rutland. Thank you.
Thank you, Hannah. Michael Talbot.
So, of all the places I've lived, I've never lived in a place that has such a strong sense of community, right? Like the warm embrace of the people I've met in the 10 years that I've been here is unparalleled. People want you to get involved. They encourage you to get involved. There are so many opportunities to get involved, and every skill and asset and experience that I brought to the community has been valued here. And people have told me again and again how much they value me. And I feel like that's really unique and special about Rutland, that sort of embrace of community. I remember growing up in a big city and seeing movies and TV shows set in a small town, and that sense of community. And when I walk into places in Rutland, like, my favorite bar, I feel like Norm on Cheers, right? Like people say hi and they welcome you and they know you and they remember you, and I can't go anywhere. Like I couldn't get through the grocery store. I was supposed to pick up 2 things the other night. Took 45 minutes because I ran into 4 people and had to have long conversations with them. And I loved it. It was great. And that's what I love about living in Rutland. In terms of a challenge or a problem, I think there's some unwarranted negativity in terms of our public image that Rutland struggles with. Around the time I moved here was the time of the Rolling Stone cover story that wasn't, particularly favorable to Rutland. And I think much of the negative, and there's some unfortunate nicknames that folks use around Rutland that we on the board try to discourage. I think we all try to be really positive, not necessarily in an unrealistic way, acknowledging the challenges we have. But Rutland is a wonderful place to live, and some of the negative reputation it has is unearned. So I think, we can overcome that over time.
Thank you, Michael. Matt Wickham.
What a great question, Tom. I'd be remiss if I didn't just echo everything that's already been said by everyone up here on the stage. But I'll give a point of emphasis to really drive this home. I commute 3 hours a day to work, but every night I'm back in Rutland because I love it that much. I don't know what else to say. However, I do want to offer something I really love about Rutland that I think is an absolute hidden gem, and I'll probably regret it because it's going to get out there and it's going to attract people here. We have some of the best fly fishing in the state and probably New England. East Creek, Otter Creek, it is remarkable. It's quiet, the fish are huge. It is an awesome time. I consider pulling out my cell phone and having you zoom in so you could see just how big the fish were, but I don't want you all to tune out. So we'll leave that alone, but come to Rutland, check out the fly fishing. What could be better? There's been some pretty good things mentioned up here that we really need to address. I would have to agree with Anna Taddeo on homelessness. It's hard to drive through the streets to see people struggling, to not have any tangible solution right in front of us that we can offer them. If re-elected to the board, I really do want to work with my colleagues, the administration, the state, anyone interested in improving this problem. This is a great community. I want those people to be able to experience it in the same way that I do. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. And that was East Creek.
East Creek and Otter Creek.
Don't worry, I'm not a fly fisherman. Sharon Davis.
So it's hard to go last because some wonderful things have already been said. As I said in my opening statement, I was born and raised here in Rutland City, and I have raised my family here. I came out of nursing school and worked at Rutland Hospital, and now still employed at the VNA in hospice. When I turned 18 years old, my dad took me to the Palms restaurant to celebrate, and Luigi Sabatasso gave me the Freeman's Oath, and I think that started my career. What I love about this city is the city itself, the people that are here, the community, the quality of life. Yes, we have some crime. Yes, we have our difficulties. But you see, whether it's a tremendous storm that we're trying to recover from or a death of a police officer, this community rallies. We take care of each other. What do I hate about this city? I think hate's a strong word. So probably one thing that I dislike the most, that I'm hearing the most right now, if I have to choose something, would be taxes. I think right now they're in a trend that I'm not happy with. So I guess that would be my flip of not being happy with. And hopefully we'll get some additional revenue and turn that dial around and start bringing some of those property taxes down and stabilize them.
Thank you, Sharon. Okay. Next question, and I've drawn the name, and it is Henry Heck. So the question is as follows, and you're familiar with this. The Board of Aldermen has 10 committees, and their members are appointed by the aldermanic president. If elected, which committee are you most interested in serving on?
I don't have a specific committee that I would be, wanting to serve on. I would just offer my services to the board chair to work diligently on any committees that I would be assigned to. Again, in my past profession as city clerk and stuff, I'm well-versed in what all the committees do, what they're looking for and stuff. So it's something that I have experienced before, 3 years when I was on the board. I don't even remember what chairs or committees I may have chaired at that point in time. It was only 17 years ago. So, but I would be willing to work with, and if I was so honored to be chair of a committee, to work on those committees and do what I've always done, just put a full effort into it and make sure that everything was going to be presented that was in that committee, and it got out to the board for discussion.
Thank you, Henry.
You're welcome.
And then, of course, if you're chairing a committee now or on a different committee, or if you're thinking about being chairman of the Board of Aldermen, you could throw that out here tonight, too. So, again, if elected, which committee are you most interested in serving on Taddeo?
So I am currently the chair of Community and Economic Development. I'm the chair of Human Resources. I am the chair of our General Committee, where we recently actually also formed a subcommittee, a Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion subcommittee that I am also chair of. And then I'm also chair of Environmental Sustainability. If re-elected, I would like to continue to be chair of environmental sustainability. I've been working on a variety of initiatives, such as looking for new places to host solar panels around the city and other energy-saving possibilities for our city. I would also like to remain chair of community and economic development because I think it's an opportunity to bring vital grants into the city. And then I would like to be vice chair of Charter and Ordinance, and mainly because there are a series of possible ordinance changes that we are currently working on that are in committee, and I think that I could lend my legal skills as an attorney to help to rewrite some of these ordinances. So some of the things that are currently in Charter and Ordinance are exploration of our winter parking ban and how effective that is, like parking in the greenway and whether, how important that is in certain neighborhoods, and just parking bans in general. And then things such as our short-term rental ordinance and evaluating just different properties in the city. So Charter and Ordinance is a good committee to do some of that work in. But I also would like to be part of recreation and public safety. I generally try to attend every committee meeting that I possibly can and participate in the conversations, although yeah, I would like to also remain chair of those two key committees. Thank you.
Thank you, Anna. Michael, you're taking notes. So I think the question to you would be, are you interested in serving as the chairman of or president of the Rutland City Board of Aldermen again?
I am happy to continue serving if that's the wishes of my fellow board members, if I'm lucky enough to be reelected. It's been a tremendous honor, but also a tremendous learning experience. I've learned so much about Rutland. Board president serves as an ex officio member of every committee, so I've attended every committee meeting in the last year, and it's really helped me get a 500-foot view of everything that the city is working on and has the potential to work on. One of the things I tried to do as board president was keep better track of all the items that we have in committee. I had bulletin boards installed in our conference room and track everything that we refer, the date that we referred it, so we can get a visual representation of what the work that needs to be done in each committee. And my goal, if I'm able to serve as board president again, would be to get all of that information online so that members of the public can track that as well, reach out to committee chairs directly when they feel like things aren't being addressed quickly enough. But like others have said, I'm happy to serve in any capacity. I really enjoyed being chair of community and economic development. I think it really aligns with my skill set as a professor of communication. I've tried to help tell Rutland's story and champion the things that are great about Rutland.
Thank you, Michael. Matt Wickham.
Thank you, Tom. I guess I have to start by saying it's a privilege to serve on any committee. There's just absolutely vital, important work happening everywhere. If I had to choose just one to chair, I would love to chair the Finance Committee again. And the reason for that, I've already mentioned. I am extremely interested in working on the local option tax and, in particular, how we take the money from the local option tax and apply it to a capital improvement fund. I really, really view this as the conduit to, again, stabilizing the tax rate and hopefully even seeing it maybe decline over time. I just think this is some of the most important work that we're going to be doing going forward. I also see an opportunity for the opioid settlement money to land within finance and obviously to be distributed accordingly and appropriately. So if I'm lucky enough to be elected once again, I hope to chair finance.
Thank you, Matt. Sharon Davis.
So over my tenure, I have pretty much served on all board committees or chaired board committees. I also served as president of the Board of Aldermen for 8 years. Currently, I chair, as I stated, public safety and finance, also on community development, recreation, intermunicipal, human resources, but I attend every committee meeting, whether I am a member or not. I come prepared and I bring discussion to those committees. If I have to choose, I would choose, I'll say public safety or finance. I've been doing them for the last few years. I would like to stay a member of community development, recreation. I enjoy those committees, and I think I bring a lot to them.
Thank you, Sharon. Eddie Grove.
So I guess I'm the only person up here who hasn't served on the board, so I'm not entirely familiar with what all 10 of those committees are. If there's a committee for graphic design and mountain biking, I'd be happy to chair that. But until then, maybe just based on the things that I am passionate about, the things that I do want to get involved with and see improved in ways that I think I could be helpful, probably if there's, the environmental sustainability sounds very important, like things that I care about, would want to be part of that. But if not, recreation, I think, goes along with my joke, but in a serious way. Like, that is something I would very much like to be part of, if not traffic and safety planning, those sort of things, because I've got plenty of stories about almost getting hit on the sidewalks. So I'd love to get involved and be able to help make those kind of decisions.
Thank you, Eddie. Okay. Last and certainly not least, we're going to begin with Sharon Davis. And this one, we're going to go sort of with Sharon right to left and just keep going around. This is the lightning round.
The lightning round.
The lightning round. And it's going to be about the budget articles that voters will be faced with choosing on March 5th, starting with Article number 1, the city municipal budget, $25.1 million. Yes or no?
No.
Eddie?
Yes.
Henry?
No.
Anna?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Matt?
Yes.
Budget Article 2, City School Budget, $63.8 million. Sharon, yes or no?
No.
Eddie?
Yes.
Henry?
No.
Anna?
Absolutely.
Michael?
Yes.
And Matt?
Yes.
And the Charter Article 1, City Water, remove fluoride, question mark. Sharon Davis, yes or no?
No.
Eddie?
No.
Henry?
Yes.
Anna?
Yes.
Michael?
No.
And Matt?
No.
And there it is,
The lightning round.
the lightning round. Now we've come to the part of our evening where we want the candidates to have a, I was going to say 1 minute, but you know, you guys have been amazing. You really respected the time. So let's go with 2 to 3 minutes each if you'd like. You know, why not? So Sharon, let's start with you. Oh, actually, we started with you in the opening, right? So I got to start with Matt.
Right.
Yeah.
All right.
And we agreed that at the beginning. So Matt, we're going to go ahead and let you do your closing. And like I said, you know, they're so good at the technology here. They put 3 minutes up there. You can use all of it, some of it. But
Wonderful.
floor is yours.
All right. Well, I probably won't use the 3 minutes. So, Rutland, I want to leave you with something to ponder. I want you to imagine a scenario. It's 1980, and you invest $100 starting in that year in the stock market. Let's just look at it this way. It's a general index fund, tracks the stock market. Now, imagine you invested $100 every year from 1980 to this year. If you had done that, that total of $4,400 would be about $30,000 today. Your 1980 self, you know, might have asked some questions about whether or not I should do that. But I tell you, your 2024 self is going to be pretty darn happy you put that money away. Now, this probably sounds familiar to most of you because, you know, you invest in a 401, a 403, maybe privately, but you look towards the future. You understand that you have to delay gratification. You know how important that is. Well, I want to posit to you that investing and voting are basically the same thing. The people that you choose to vote for on this stage is an investment. It's an investment in your future, in your community, and what you choose is either going to have a return on investment that benefits you or it doesn't benefit you. Now, it may be really appealing to vote in a way in which you save that $100 this year and next year. But you know what? In 40 years, you're not going to have that. Hopefully, it was well spent at the time, but there is no return on investment for you, for your kids, and at this point, your grandkids. Or you can choose to invest wisely. You can look at the candidates that are trying to build a city that appeals to you. One that isn't just for you, it's for your kids. It's for your kids' kids. It's something that's going to keep people here. It's a critical choice, it's a tough choice, and it's yours. March 5th is fast approaching. I encourage you all, invest wisely.
Thank you, Matt. Michael Talbot.
Sure. So on August 4th last year, I found myself standing at the corner of Clover Street and South Main, feeling helpless as floodwaters rose and started entering people's homes. I watched our fire department. You know, it was a moment where I saw how vulnerable our community was, but I also saw our community come together. I saw members of our fire department rescuing those residents. I drove around the city that evening. I saw members of the police department directing people to safety away from floodwaters. I saw members of the Department of Public Works addressing flooded area. The next morning, I walked the muddy streets of Clover and the surrounding areas with members of building and zoning, talking to people about when they could get back into their homes and the things that needed to be addressed. Over the days following, I spoke to media outlets trying to advocate and draw attention to what was going on in Rutland. I spoke to state leaders. When I stood before the board at the next meeting, I encouraged the board to consider using the Business Incentive and Assistance Program funds to create an emergency program to help businesses that were impacted by that flooding. I had conversations with our representatives in Congress about what could be done to help Rutland with these floods that are going to continue into the future, right, and get more severe. We know that. the whole point of all this is to highlight that no one person can accomplish addressing Rutland's challenges, right? That it takes a whole team of people, a whole community of people rowing in the same direction. In my year as board president, I've tried to foster that kind of collegiality and teamwork among board members. I've tried to make our board meetings welcoming and inclusive to those members of the public that come to speak. And I'm just getting started. I think I'm at a moment where I strike a balance between having enough experience to be an effective board member, but I still have fresh energy that I bring to local leadership. And I'm committed to being a leader for a vibrant, forward-thinking Rutland. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Anna Taddeo.
So again, my name is Anna Taddeo, and I'm running for re-election to the Rutland City Board of Aldermen. This past year, I have communicated with many different city residents, whether that was exchanging a handwritten letter, exchanging emails, spending time on the phone, or communicating on various social media platforms. I've tried really, really hard to make myself accessible to my community. When I've heard your concerns, I have taken those to the board and looked for opportunities to resolve those problems. This coming year, if re-elected, I look forward to continuing to work for your needs and to continue working on issues that matter most to you, such as public safety, working to reduce our tax rate and tax burden, and keep ensuring that Rutland is an affordable place to live and raise a family. Some things I'm especially proud of that I worked on this past year. I worked to make Juneteenth a citywide holiday. I worked on our Environmental Sustainability Committee to implement a green fleet policy, which would slowly transition our city's vehicles to electric, which will be better for public health in our communities and would save on fuel costs long term. I am constantly looking for ways that our city can be more responsive to community needs and have worked collaboratively with most members of the Board of Aldermen and would look forward to continuing to work in collaboration with our board. I hope that everyone will get out and vote. If you are not registered to vote yet, you can register to vote up to and on town meeting day. Please, if you are unable to make it to the polls, request an absentee ballot. Again, town meeting day is Tuesday, March 5th. We all hope that you will get out and vote. Again, my name is Anna Taddeo, currently serving on the Rutland City Board of Aldermen and hoping to get reelected so I can continue advocating for your needs on the board. Thank you.
Thank you, Anna.
Thank you.
Henry Heck.
So I'd like to ask for your support. I think a lot of people know who I am, what kind of job I did when I worked for the city. I've literally helped hundreds of people in my time there. I was committed to doing so, and I will continue to do that. This is not an easy job. Being a board member takes a lot of time, takes a lot of energy, and there's decisions out there that some people may not be happy with. I just made a decision on budgets. People may think that I just am frugal, and that's not the case. I believe in investing in our community, investing in our city. It's just a matter of how that gets invested. And every time a budget gets passed, it doesn't go back down. The school budget will not go back down. The city budget will not go back down. So if we need those funds to make improvements, I am all for investing in our city, and I would be there to support those ventures. But my biggest thing here is to ask the voters to participate. We're not asking you to be a member of the board or to do anything out of the ordinary. Just go to the polls and vote. Request an absentee ballot and vote. It's very simple to do. I think that's not a big ask for you to participate and show your support for whatever it is, for the budget, against the budget, for fluoride, against fluoride. But for me, if 5,000 people, which I don't think is an unreasonable request, comes out and votes every March election, I think that's what we should have. And the numbers have been less than that, 2,500, 2,200. 3,000, it's a presidential primary. The numbers may be a little bit higher this time going around, but there's no reason why we can't have 5,000 people casting a ballot, because it is your community, and you have the ability to make a change, and you have that right to do so. So my final request to you is please get out there and vote on Tuesday, March 5th, and I would appreciate your support. Thank you.
Thank you, Henry. Eddie Grove.
I'd like to thank everybody at PEG TV for hosting this and everybody that's here on stage, giving this conversation, letting people know what we're up here for, and just keeping everybody informed. And I also specifically like to thank the community, Rutland in general, for allowing me to be here already less than a year after moving here and already in a position to be asking for your support. I think that's great. It says a lot about what kind of community we have and how welcoming and friendly everybody here is. And that's what I would like to hope that I win election for, so that I could continue to support that and help make Rutland a welcoming community for everybody like it has been for me. And just do anything I can to help improve and protect what we have here. So just like to remind everybody to get out and vote, and thank you for your support.
Thank you, Eddie. Sharon Davis.
So again, I'd like to thank everyone for this opportunity. And what is it that I bring to the board? I bring effective leadership. I am a conservative spender. In FY24, the voters approved a $23 million, $261,000 plus budget. The increase that was over what is approved was $1.8 million. We have to have quality of life and the affordability to be here. So yes, we need to invest in our community, but we need to invest responsibly. I am accountable. I am approachable. I am well prepared when I attend these meetings. I show up. A number of meetings that we had, even budgetary meetings, we did not have a quorum. So I think people need to understand, if you're going to run for office, then you have a large commitment. And I've made that commitment and maintained that commitment. I am your voice in city government. I work for you. I would appreciate your continued support, and I thank you very much for your consideration.
Thank you, Sharon. And I'd like to thank all of the candidates today. Boy, what a great group of candidates and what tremendous answers we heard tonight. I'm personally very proud as a Rutland City voter to be able to choose 5 of the 7 candidates running, and we really got to know all of them, these 6 here tonight. So we appreciate that very much, and great job to all of you. I'd also like to thank, of course, the sponsors of this forum tonight, which is PEG TV and the Rutland Herald. And in particular, of course, the folks working behind the scenes tonight, Chelsea Vogel, Jim Boughton. Our program coordinator is Rich Alnicki. And then, of course, Executive Director Tom Leopold here at PEG TV. And then also Gordon Drischello from the Rutland Herald is here, and City Editor Jim Sabatasso. So thank you to the Rutland Herald for participating in this forum tonight, too, to get the word out to you, the folks that have to make the decision on March 5th. I wanted to say, don't forget to tune in to live election night coverage when we can give you the results. March 5th, that's Tuesday, March 5th, we will be airing live right here on PEG TV, and we will be starting at 7:15. 7:15. We're going to try to get those results to you as quickly as possible. So with that, I'll be anchoring, and we will have some special guests as well joining me. So with that, I'm, for PEG TV, Tom Donahue, and I want to thank you all for watching.